What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? My name is Prodigy and welcome to our video on the channel. Today guys, I wanted to continue the Kingdom Hearts Recoded Ultimania series. Today we're continuing with the scenario mystery section of the Ultimania. For those of you that have been following the Ultimania series on the channel, we are pretty much almost done with all of the games at this point. After Recode, we have Dream Drop Distance, and for the main Nomura interviews, that will be about it. We'll probably go back though and cover some other developer interviews and music interviews, and the scenario mysteries typically cover your heavy hitting information, some crazy lore questions like the type of stuff that we would ask ourselves in Reddit threads or theories, just whatever, the deep stuff that the hardcore Kingdom Hearts fans really be thinking about. And even Recoded has a scenario mystery. Some scenario mysteries for Ultimanias have been very short in the past, like one video. For this one, it seems like it's about to be 1 to 2 videos. We'll see how it goes, but let's go ahead and dive right in and see what we can find out about Recoded's story. Data Sora can newly obtain a legitimate Keyblade during his adventure, but are there changes to the real Keyblade when that happens? No, it's a data version the entire time. However, like with the first Keyblade, it wasn't created by someone else. It comes from the heart's connections with the data, hinting towards the story theme. Can a heart be born in an existence made of data? During Recoded, Naminé seems to have explained the reason for the pain mentioned in the journal to Sora and company, but why does she take the roundabout method of accessing the data in the Jiminy journal and adding to it? At the point of time when Naminé explained Sora's secret in the real world, she already knew that by the time Sora and company woke up, that she would be gone. She thought she wouldn't be able to speak to them directly, thus she left a note in Jiminy's journal. However, she didn't presume what sort of form the meaning of the message would take when presented to Sora and company. Therefore, Jiminy's journal was made into data according to the King and Co.'s assumptions. Was the message presented in Jiminy's journal prepared entirely by Naminé herself? The very first message, "We must return to free them from their torment," was the only one by Naminé. However, the messages, "Their torment has been lessened," were transmitted by the data itself when Sora eliminated the bugs, implying that restoring the data would bring him closer to understanding the mystery of the message. That's one thing I really do like about Recoded a lot. It's one of the games that is often, or was often criticized at least, for not having one of the craziest Kingdom Hearts stories in terms of major reveals or major plot progression, but it did progress the plot in quite a different way, bringing some acknowledgement to the viewers about where the story is going to be heading after this game. The trio of Kingdom Hearts games that were released during this time period in Days, Recoded, and Birth by Sleep all had a very similar sort of essence to it. Recoded being the only one that focused majorly on a version of Sora, but Days and Birth by Sleep being very much so stories that had a lot of tragedy in them, a lot of sadness, one of the more emotional stories for Kingdom Hearts, and Recoded bringing attention to them, to a version of our main character, to see if he's prepared to handle that sort of burden, because all those characters are connected to Sora in some way, shape, or form. Roxas being Sora's nobody, Xion being Sora's memories, a representation of them, Ventus being a part of Sora's heart, Aqua and Terra kind of being nowhere to be found, but in blank points when Aqua would hear about Sora, it gave her hope. Hope in the world, hope in the realm of light. Recoded was a story about if Sora was ready to accept that pain, like a literal simulation of if Sora was emotionally ready to handle all of that. And on the topic of the first question that I really like to read, because I have been asking that question for a while, and Recoded did kind of touch up upon this, but not in a super direct way. Can a heart be born in an existence made of data? That is a question that is very interesting to think about, because remember, in Union Cross there is technically a data copy of a lot of those characters, of all those Union leaders. So even if someone like Ephemer passes away in the future, or Brain being used as a vessel for Lucia, or however that is going, that's something very interesting that we have to figure out later on. But technically the same versions of those characters we saw in Eden Cross could come back if the hearts can be made in Data, if a heart of Data can just be formed like that. But the question would be, can a heart born from Data exist outside of Data? As for the outbreak of bugs in Jiminy's journal, did they accidentally appear as a result of Naminé adding Data, or did Naminé intentionally devise the bugs in order to make Sora triumph over the pain? That occurring wasn't part of Naminé's intentions. She couldn't predict that Sora's Heartless would take charge and bring about a crisis like that. I see. Roxas appears dressed in the black coat in Castle Oblivion, among other worlds too. Was that something else that Naminé had not added intentionally? Right, since Roxas and Sora together make up one existence, if there is a Sora made of Kingdom Hearts 1 data, then data of Roxas must exist too. Roxas says, "It's my personal duty to check whether or not Sora is ready to take the pain." However, that role was not assigned by Naminé. Roxas personally decided that goal and acted upon it accordingly. Who was the person taken from the data of Jiminy's journal that took the form of Riku in the data world? That wasn't someone from the real world's data. More like that was the data itself taking on the body of Riku in order to avoid being eroded by the bugs. That was something that I found very interesting about Riku, that they used Riku in the story still, even though he didn't have a super official role in that sort of story, since it was mostly a story about Sora accepting like all of this and being prepared for this sort of hurt, this sort of pain. Riku still showed up in the form of Jiminy's journal's sort of security system. It's not actually Riku, but it's very interesting to see that still a Data KH1 Sora and a Data KH1 Riku still end up becoming like close friends who sort of rely on each other. That's just something really cool to see, that even through Data, Sora is still Sora, Riku is still Riku. When each world is completely debugged, a scene is shown that was not seen in Kingdom Hearts 1. Did those scenes occur at the same point in time as Kingdom Hearts 1? Yes, they were memories deep in the data of the worlds, recorded in Jiminy's journal. However, as a result of Data Riku searching after the worlds were debugged, they were tangible to the king and company. In the final chapter of Hollow Bastion, it happens in the story that if the Jiminy journal is completely debugged, then the existence recorded in the data will be erased. Then why is it even if Data Sora doesn't remember, Data Riku's memories remain? Data Sora became an existence whose purpose was to go about debugging. So at the point in time when he had completely debugged the data, his memories were gone. In Data Riku's case, it existed in the main data even without the Jiminy journal itself being erased. And since its purpose was to solve the mystery first brand in the journal, it couldn't fulfill it until the debugging was complete. Once the mystery was solved, it too would lose its memories. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrap up today's video. Like always, the scenario mysteries has definitely been the most interesting part of this Ultimania so far. Very cool questions, very nice insight. We have one more video to go and then we'll be progressing on to Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. But that will be all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, share the video with a friend or a family member, and last but not least, if not already, and want to become a part of the union, all you have to do is hit that red subscribe button down below. My name is Prodigy, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out, you guys. Bye.
Now she's a daydreamer. She's always thinking about him. No more room in this picture for you to fit in. Now she's crying on the phone, telling you she's not good enough for him. When you think that she is perfect,